All right, acceleration calculations. So acceleration is a change in speed or a change in direction. So if you turn a corner, you're accelerating because you change directions. It's also defined as a change in velocity per unit of time. So it's measured in units. This is important. Those weird units that we use for acceleration. So acceleration units can be kilometers per hour per second, or they can be meters per second squared. So that's something you're going to have to really pay attention to when we work these problems. So acceleration is velocity final minus velocity initial, all divided by time. So there's a fancy way we can write some things in science. So instead of writing V final minus V initial, the final speed minus the initial speed is how much their speed changed. So instead of saying how much their speed changed, we can use this symbol of a triangle. And for speed, we can use an S. So if we wanted to set up a speed triangle, we could set it up as acceleration. We're going to draw our big triangle again. Acceleration is equal to our change in speed over time. And that change in speed is equal to the final speed or the final velocity minus the initial speed or the initial velocity. So let's apply this to some problems and see how far we can get. All right. So these first few problems, they were really, really nice to us. And they gave us pretty much everything. So just like before, whenever I start a math problem, I'm going to number my page, but then I'm going to look at my givens. So for this problem, we need a final velocity, an initial velocity, an acceleration, and time. So we're looking for acceleration. That's where I'm going to put my big question mark. That's what we're looking for. I'll make acceleration blue just so we can follow it down the page. Our initial velocity was 0 kilometers per hour. I'm going to make that green because that's the speed we started at. So the speed we started at was 0 kilometers per hour. Our final velocity was 24 kilometers per hour. And I don't have, maybe I do have a red marker. I don't have a red marker, so I'm going to use orange. It's as close to red as I can get because it's final. It's the end, right? So our final velocity is 24 kilometers per hour. And our time was 3 seconds. And I've used purple for time so far, so I'm just going to keep going with the same thing. We know our time is 3 seconds, so we'll make time purple. All right, so now we need to plug it in and calculate our acceleration. So we said our change in speed, which is this top part, is the final velocity minus the initial velocity. So the change in speed is equal to V final minus V initial. Our final velocity over here was 24 kilometers per hour. Our initial velocity was 0 kilometers per hour. Our units are the same, so we can just subtract our change in speed. So our change in speed is equal to 24 kilometers per hour. All right, now we need to plug that in. So we're looking for acceleration. So acceleration is equal to change in speed over time. So my change in speed was 24 kilometers per hour. My time was 3 seconds. My handy dandy calculator tells me that number is 8. So my acceleration is equal to 8. None of my units cancel, so I have kilometers per hour per second. And I'm going to go up here and see if that's a valid unit, and it is. So that's going to be my final answer, 8 kilometers per hour per second. All right, let's work number 3. All right, number 3. Number 3 says that we have 20. All right, it says we have 20 kilometers per hour as our initial velocity. So I'm going to put my givens down first. So I'm looking for acceleration, velocity final, velocity initial, and time. My initial velocity was 20 kilometers per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 20 kilometers per hour next to initial velocity. My final velocity was 60 kilometers per hour. I'm going to list that. The time given was 10 seconds. And our unknown is acceleration. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to plug all those values in. The first thing we're going to look for is our change in speed. So change in speed is equal to velocity final minus velocity initial. So our change in speed is equal to 60 kilometers per hour minus 20 kilometers per hour. Our units match, so I can do the math. Our change in speed is equal to 40 kilometers per hour. So now I have change in speed, time, and I'm looking for acceleration. I'm going to cover that up. Acceleration is equal to change in speed over time. My change in speed was 40 kilometers per hour. My time was 10 seconds. So my acceleration is equal to 4 kilometers per hour per second. I'm going to check my units. Those are valid units. So my final answer for number 3 is going to be we accelerated at a rate of 4 kilometers per hour per second. All right, so go ahead and use that math to figure out the rest of the problems on the page. If you have a question, feel free to email me and I can work that problem for you.